Ugh. News stripped down 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than that's probably just BS. Yeah, where I dig through the news and weed out all the nonsense so you guys don't have to. Got water in my ear today. That really sucks. I think that's the first time I've had water in my ears and and it's not like I went swimming. What am I missing here? Yeah, I guess we'll just do it like this. Oh, so new strip down today, you guys. It's Monday, May 11th, 2026, the beginning of the week, you guys. Let's start off with things that happened today in May 11th. Start off with some birthdays. Today in 1983, Holly Valance. She's turning 43 years old today. You probably remember her from playing in the TV role in Jailbreak as Nikita Voltek. And then also today's birthday, 1982, Corey Monteith. He's 31 years old today. Yeah, he unfortunately passed in 2013 at the age of 31. You probably remember him from the TV show Glee. Yeah, and he was on that show from 2009 to 2015 and apparently died of a drug and heroin overdose. I know he was struggling with some mental health issues and stuff like after the show and even during the show. So, yeah, kind of sad to see him go. He was actually a pretty good young actor, but I don't know. I think it's a lot different for actors nowadays trying to get into that type of scene. It's not like what it was back in the day. I think it's probably a lot harder and a lot more like do this, do that kind of thing now. And then also 1963, May 11th, Natasha Richardson. She's 45 years old today. Oh, no, sorry. She passed in 2009 at the age of 45. She was in the TV, well, not TV movie. She was in the 1998 movie Parent Trap. And 1933 today, Louis Franklin. He was part of the Nation of Islam. He was the leader of the Nation of Islam. A little bit of controversy about him. He could be responsible for the death and assassination of Malcolm X. He's still kicking today at the age of 93. Still allegations, nothing proven that he had his, but there is a lot of speculation that he did have something to do with Malcolm X's assassination. And in 1912, Phil Silvers was 73 years old when he passed in 1985. He had the 1950s TV sitcom show called The Phil Silvers Show. And then today in 1875, Harriet Quimby, the first female to receive a pilot's license, and what was it? The first female to travel over the English Channel as well. Yeah, and yeah, from she didn't live very long. She only lived to be 37. She passed in 1912. And then today on May 11th, 1904, Salvador Dali, famous surrealist painter, uh, was born and he passed in 1989 at the age of 40. If you guys don't know who Salvador Dali is, this guy right here. Oh, stupid green screen. Stupid green screen. Does that work? There you go. There you go. There's a Salvador Dali for you. That's the stuff I do for work, artwork. So that's pretty much it for birthdays. Things that happened today in history. May 11th, 1751, Pennsylvania Hospital is founded in Philadelphia by Thomas Bond and Benjamin Franklin. You know, whip out the Benjis there. Yeah, first Pennsylvania hospital, 1751. I was gonna look into that a little bit more and see what that hospital looked like, but yeah, hospitals are hospitals. The only really important part of that is Benjamin Franklin, part of the founding of that hospital. And then today, May 11th, 1812, British Prime Minister Spencer Perceval is assassinated by John Bellingham in the House of Commons in London. Spencer Perceval is the only prime minister who have been killed in office, with his last words being, "I've been murdered." Okay, imagine like what Abraham Lincoln. Do you think he yelled like, "I've been murdered"? Like, what a way to go! Like famous last words. Like, you think he could have said something and like, "Ah, stop him," or "It was him," or just, "Ah, I've been murdered." Wow, just just quite the line to end with your life. Like that's so funny. And then the reason that Bellingham assassinated him is because he had been jailed in Russia for a fraudulent business deal. Apparently, he had in Russia, and he was mis recognized as somebody else. And when he asked for help from the British government, they wouldn't give him any help. So he got to the point where he got so fed up, he decided to bring a gun into the parliament and take out, Percival there. So yeah, he was jailed over a false debt in Russia. Yeah, and then blamed the British government for not helping him. And then today in 1934, the Great Dust Bowl sweeps through the Canadian prairies and the parts of America, traveling as far as the East Coast. I don't know if you know where Manitoba is. It's the center of Canada. This Dust Bowl went all the way to the East Coast. So it went through Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, all the way to PEI. So that was pretty interesting. Not the first Dust Bowl. Normally around in 1812 year, I noticed that there is a lot of like dusty situations. So it must have been pretty droughty back then in 1812. Probably a lot of famine too. But yeah, I believe there was a depression around that time as well. It's probably due to the lack of water and lack of farming. And then today in May 11th, 1934, oh, sorry, today in May 11th, 1995, over 170 countries agree to extend the nuclear non-proliferation treaty with indefinitely without conditions. So yeah, only 170 countries agreed to this, and then how many of them really followed that in the first place? So yeah, a lot of controversy over that. There's still North Korea trying to produce nuclear weapons. Yes, there's Iran still trying to produce nuclear weapons, but any of the countries that had access to nuclear weapons made a so-called promise not to make anymore, which was complete BS in the first place. Yeah, nuclear weapons. Now we have hydrogen weapons. It's like, yeah, let's get rid of nuclear weapons, but here, let's make something even bigger that we can still create. And then they just switch to hydrogen weapons, which still does create a bit of a fallout, but not nearly as much as what you're dealing with, what happened in like Japan, with the two bombings, the first two nuclear bombs being dropped. And those were two separate, different types of nuclear bombs, too. There was a third one too that they were going to test, which had never been tested in World War II in Japan. And today, in May 11th, the year 2000, May 11th, year 2000, India reaches a population of 1 billion people. I don't know if, like, are you supposed to be happy about that? Is that supposed to be like an achievement? I don't know. I don't know. And then to be that baby, being listed as the billionth baby, like that's gonna carry with you for the rest of your life. And then like the the billionth baby on in India, like holy crap. And then today in May 11th, 1969, Monty Python forms for the first time with Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, and I don't know what's your guys' favorite like Monty Python skip? It's either the lumberjack one for me, where they're like making fun of lumberjacks, not just in Canada but in general. It's either that skit or it's the Black Knight skit. The Black Knight skit is probably by far the one that people are going to remember the most. Oh, it's just a flesh wound. It's just a scratch. He's just sitting there left with no legs or anything. He's like, oh, well, come here. I'll bite your ankles. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. And then today, May 11th, 1969. Oh, sorry, 1981. Cats opens in London for the first time, and it ended up running for 8,949 performances, being one of the longest performing plays in history. Yeah, exactly. How many people do we need on this planet? And then today, May 11th, 1912, the waltz was introduced. The dance, the waltz was introduced in ballrooms uh, across the UK, but a lot of people thought it was disgusting and immoral. You know, the waltz. Yeah. And then today, May 11th, 1893, Henry deGrasse, the world's first bike record. He got a bicycle up to 35.325 kilometers per hour. That's 21.95 miles per hour. So the fastest human on a bicycle at that time in 1893. And this Waltz guy, or sorry, Henry deGrasse, probably remember his name. He was one of the original founders of the Tour de France. So yeah, that's how the Tour de France got started. Is that guy breaking the, I guess, land speed record on a bicyclette. Bicyclette. I guess there's going to be a little bit of French spoken here today. A little bit. Un peu, just a little. So yeah, let's dig right into the juicy stuff today, you guys. So yeah, new Strip Down. I'm here Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time. 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than that's probably just BS anyways. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe. Like I said, I'm here Monday to Friday, and only for a half hour because anything longer that's just nonsense and BS and cockamamie in the first place. Oh, so yeah, straight into the news here. Here, I gotta get a little bit closer here. There we go. Oh, uh, so there's four Canadians who were on that cruise ship over in Europe there with the hantavirus that arrived back in BC. But these aren't the only people that are going to be under quarantine right now. There's another additional three people in Ontario that are being monitored. I don't know if they're being isolated at all, but they're definitely being monitored. And the three people from Ontario, by my understanding right now, is these are just people that may have been in contact with somebody who had been infected at one point or another, or they're just tying up loose ends. So like that the person, they might have never even come into contact. They're just trying to cover both ends to not try and let this spread any farther. So yeah, the four Canadians that are heading to BC, they got back. They should be back last night after a quick stop in Quebec. The four have set locations that they have picked while they're going to be under a minimum of 21 days self isolation. So this is a minimum, okay? It's just 21 days minimum. They could stay longer due to the fact that that this variant that they are looking at right now could have a gestation period of around 45 days. So we could see that number grow possibly just to be safe, but the minimum right now is around 21 days. A lot of other countries right now don't really have specific guidelines on how long they're going to let their people quarantine for, which there should be a significant there a standard when it comes to like something like this. Like if one country is going to do something, the other country should follow suit, especially when it comes to a virus like this. And then the province of BC have never seen a variant like this before, but they are prepared to handle anything as with this variant. But what they do know about this is what they do know about the hantavirus is the virus they do know about. They've had a good 30 years to sit there and kind of play with this virus and kind of have an understanding of how it works and stuff like that. Learning better treatments, most of it, there is no real treatment for this virus. It's mostly just a major dosages of antibiotics and possibly being put on a ventilator as well. So it's not like we're jumping into something. It's not like this is going to be COVID where they were going in blind, not knowing how this was transmitted or how this is all working. This variant has been seen before, and this hantavirus is also known as the Andes virus. And now this being an international problem with not just Canada. So let's find out what countries had people on this ship. We had the US, Netherlands, Switzerland, South Africa, UK, Canada, Germany, Singapore, Australia, and India. So, wow, what a variety of people to have on that ship. And what a perfect test ground, eh? Like, I see where there's this conspiracy theory coming from, but like, look at all the you pretty much covered the whole globe here with this one little cruise ship and this virus. So, yes, there is a lot of people panicking and stuff right now, but like the best thing to do right now for these people who have left this cruise ship is just follow the necessary isolation guidelines. Like, don't be sitting there, going around not following the rules. It's not just about these people. You got to worry about the rest of the people around you too. And then anyone who's not following these guidelines should be brought to the full extent of the law. And I mean, even punished even more. If they don't want to follow some of these guidelines, like this is a serious thing. And it hasn't gotten to a point yet where it is a major like world outbreak. But these people still need to follow these guidelines. And if they don't want to follow suit, then they should be held responsible in some form or another, or fined. I don't see how fines are going to help anything. Like, we should just straight up lock these people up because they're just adding to the situation. They'll probably say, like, oh, I feel fine, blah, 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 I'm going to go. That's not the point. The point is, follow the guidelines. Don't let this go any farther than where it is, and just keep following the rules. And then another issue that's happening. So with these people from BC right now staying there, okay, yeah, with what's happening in BC right now, and BC not being having access to this specific type of virus or having any type of knowledge to this new Andes, well, it's not new Andes hantavirus, but not having any real acknowledgement of it or access to information. With Canada having like a displaced kind of universal healthcare, yes, it's universal, but you have to realize we have 10 different separate healthcare systems throughout our country. Yes, it's universal, but it's very fractured from province to province and territory to territory. So what Canada really needs is to start really making this universal healthcare system. Planned pandemic, yeah. Pandemic. What we need is this country to like really have a focused spot where doctors, nurses and stuff can all sit there and collaborate together and have an access point or some type of system where, if something bad is happening in one part of the country, you could have, you know an outside knowledge or an outside perspective of. It's always nice to have an outside perspective, because people get like writer's block. Doctors get the same thing. You look at the patients constantly all the time, and to sit there, yeah, you're going to get stumped every once in a while, and it's not because you don't know. It's just because of the repetitiveness that is happening through our healthcare system. And it's good to have an outside perspective. So we, Canada, as a healthcare system, we need to start really figuring out how we can like make this universal healthcare system work more efficiently throughout Canada. Because, like, say if I go from Manitoba, Alberta, and something bad happens to me in Alberta, yeah, the universal healthcare system is not as easy as it sounds. It's plagued with multiple different problems. Like, one province has their way of dealing with situations, and another province has another way of dealing with their situations. So we really need to fix this because when it comes to a crisis, if we did have a place for doctors and nurses to go and access other doctors and other nurses and have a list of other things, that we could be able to define other issues that, other provinces don't have access to. I'd really like to see that, but with the way this healthcare system's going in Canada, I really don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Yeah, but we definitely need some form of a main hub for doctors here in Canada to sit down and be able to talk to each other, especially when it comes to situations like this. Like, there should be a good think tank, at least, of some of the best doctors across Canada sitting down and discussing some of these things. And then even like doing a sit down where they like kind of what 2-4 said there, like a pre pandemic, we should start training ourselves. Like, when you have a house fire, like, you should always be training for a house fire in case it does happen. And yes, you might never be in a house fire, but when it comes to actually being in a house fire, that's a totally different situation. Your brain goes out to lunch, you start losing control, and you end up succumbing to the fire. And this is why people do training, is so you have that mental capacity in a moment of crisis to be able to handle this. So, yes, we should be pre-pandemicing certain scenarios where we wouldn't be in a situation like this today, and we could start taking the fear away instead of fear mongering through the news, start actually coming up with real significant answers. But I don't think we'll ever see that. And then over to the UK. So yeah, Prime Minister Keir Starmer is receiving a lot of backlash right now as three Labour MPs quit as ministerial aides, uh, with another 50 MPs publicly urging Starmer to resign immediately or set a timeline for his departure. Wow. Britain hasn't had much luck when it comes to picking leaders at all. Like, Britain, what's going on over there? Like, you guys are the ones voting for these people. And, like, really, something needs to change over there. Because, like, just look, since 2022, okay, you had what? Liz Truss, and she only lasted from September to October. What's that? 49 days in office before she was removed from office. And then you have, what's his name? Rishi Sunak, who took over from her and only lasted from October 2022 to July 2024, and then only losing his spot to Keir Starmer. And now people are asking him to resign. Like, what's going on over there in the UK? And not only that, you got Boris Johnson, you got Theresa May, and then how can I forget this one? Margaret Thatcher. Wow, you guys picking your leaders? Are you just picking them out of a hat? Like, what are you doing over there? Like, and now King Charles this Wednesday is going to be delivering a speech setting out some government planned new laws for the next parliamentary session and beyond, the next parliamentary session and beyond. And he's going to be bringing up things in this speech. I'm assuming this is what he's going to be bringing up. He's going to be talking about the EU alignment, the cost of living, welfare cuts, British Steel, tourists tax, among other things. So yeah, he's planning on cutting taxes, or not cutting taxes. He's planning on cutting welfare, planning on cutting a lot of things. And then if you're a tourist in the UK and you stay in rural hotels in rural communities, the government could start taxing you for, consuming their foods, using their water, using their electricity, because, yeah, these small communities need the money. But I don't think that's going to fly with tourists very much. And then what are we going to be taxed to be a tourist? And then how is that going to play out through the rest of the country? Who's going to dictate who charges what for which area of the UK? That's another thing. So you're just going to spend more government money to hire somebody with their thumbs up their ass to, you know, come up with some plan that actually never gets to see the light of day or doesn't get enacted properly in the first place. Just Something for somebody to sit on their hands with and get paid for it. I wish I could do that. I wish I could be a politician, but I don't have enough skeletons in my closet to do that. So, yeah. And over to Canada here. Oh, what the hell? I'm going deaf in this ear. Got that weird cough now. Oh, sorry. And over to Canadian news. Canadian canola is starting to get back up on pace here, bringing exports up to 63% from the previous week of 90,000 tons to 350,000 tons. This is still much shorter than where we were last year, and that was normally around 1.3 million tons around this time last year. So that's kind of good for the farmers here in Canada. I know grain markets are probably not what you're expecting them to be, blah blah blah, but at least we're getting grain out to market. And by the looks of it, most of this grain market's going straight to China. So obviously Carney did something right when he was over there. It's going to take some time to start figuring out where we can start getting the flow of grain to go, besides just relying on the United States. And like, that's the thing. We were putting all our eggs in one basket. And a lot of countries were doing that too. And we need to start separating ourselves and figuring out, like, you know, we're a big country. We have a lot to offer, and we have a lot to like offer other countries as well. And instead of just, being the United States' doormat and getting screwed over on our softwood lumbers and, everything on our oil and gas, we're just completely bent over. And what's funny is we're the ones on top. Why are we getting bent over? That's what I don't understand. But this is good for Canadian farmers right now. I'm almost guaranteeing if the U.S. right now seen this number for the grain market, for especially canola seed, farmers in the States would definitely be speaking up a lot more. Canadian, like, soybean farmers in the States right now, and canola farmers, even corn farmers right now, they're sitting there struggling just to get their product like somewhere. Yeah, they're just sitting there right now on all this grain that they cannot get rid of due to the fact that nobody wants it because nobody wants to pay the tariffs on it. No one wants the repercussions because of it. And it all comes down to one name. Like, and can't really just blame the country for that. It really comes down to some of these stupid laws. And then look at the United States, their deficit. Their deficit is growing faster than they can even think about lowering it. I think it just went up like another, was it $13 billion just in 1 month? And actually, I think it's more than that. I think it's like $103 billion per month. Patch it up into biofuels. Yeah, that too. Oh, so yeah. And then speaking of China, China has completed its 10th consecutive supply run to its space station, learning new techniques every time. The Tianzhong space station has been operational since April 2021 and are planning to expand the size with new modules in the next few years, and then with this space station having a shelf life of around 10 years, that number could be expanded depending on with what type of technologies we're starting to receive, and with the technology China's coming up with right now, there's probably a lot of experiments that they to probably test some of this new technology in space with. So we could probably start seeing like extra modules being designed for this space station, and a longer shelf life than its expected 10-year. So I don't know. What does space station normally last around? What, 10 to 12 years, 15 years? How long was the Russian space station up there? I know that thing was past its due time, way past its due time. But that's interesting. What China is doing right now. Why aren't we hearing about Chinese space race? Why aren't we hearing about what they're doing up in the space station? Why is it all just the U.S., Canada, all these other people? Like, why aren't we paying attention to what China's doing on their end? Like, I think that should be a global thing that we should all be witnessing. Like, we're all sitting here watching the Artemis 2 launch. Why are we not paying attention to what's happening in China? Like, This is very significant for like the whole world, not just a couple countries all at once. Uh, yeah, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, please and thank you. Uh, I'm really close to 1,000 subs on this channel. I'm trying to get everyone to shift over to News Strip Down, its own independent channel. I'm trying to separate it away from my channel. And yeah, this is running a little bit longer than I wanted to. I'm wondering if I should save this for tomorrow. I know I said I was going to talk about the Governor General, and I got a whole freaking page here about the Governor General. So, what the hell, I'll do it. Whatever, I'll go a little bit long today. Sorry, you guys. What I was going to do is I was going to do this live and then go over to News Strip Down and do this exact same thing over again. So just repeat myself. I should be recording this and then I don't have to do that. Canada's monarch. Oh yeah. Just okay. So yeah, if you guys don't know who Canada's Governor General is, it's Mary Simon, okay? She's a former broadcaster from CBC North. And she was also a former radio broadcaster in the late 70s. She is the first Indigenous / Inuit person to hold this type of position in Canada. But there's one issue I have with her. That's never seems to be brought. Well, it seems to be brought up a few times, but it's the fact that she can't speak French. And with a person in this type of position, you think, well, sorry, French is a priority. You can't be in a public position like this and not be bilingual. Yes, she can speak other languages, Inuit, blah, 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 but that's not the point. The point is that you have to be able to, go across the board and speak both languages due to the fact that we're a bilingual country. Yes, there's French-speaking people here throughout Canada, not just Quebec. There's a whole French town in Manitoba where they only speak, actually there's lots of French towns in Manitoba where they only speak French. Thanks, Louis Riel. Not that I should dog on him at all. But this doesn't make any sense. And not only that, Mary Simons, she has a residence in Quebec City at the Citadel, which is a military base in the middle of the city and a historical site at that. So why is she staying at the Citadel, when everyone there speaks French? Yes, there's tourists that go and visit there. So yeah, there's English speaking, military officers and stuff. But really, really, it doesn't make any sense. And then for like people like Mark Carney to sit there and go after the CEO, was it Michael Rosenu, the CEO of Air Canada? Because his little speech he did, his apology video he did to those Air Canada pilots who had lost their lives in New York City due to the fact that that fire truck drove right in front of them, that he only did it in English. And this being a Montreal-based company, people think he should be able to speak both languages. Well, he's in the private sector. Why does he need to speak both languages? This is a private sector. There's nothing in his job requirements that require him to speak French. So for all these people, even Mark Carney, to call him out and say that he should resign because he didn't speak French. Okay, then you know what, Mark Carney? I'm calling you out right now. Then get this Mary Simons to resign due to the fact that, she's using taxpayers' dollars right now to supposedly learn the language. Okay, so she's been in her seat since what? I have the date here. And of course I didn't freaking highlight it. Okay, yeah, so she's been holding this seat for roughly about 5 years. And she hasn't shown any form of her trying to learn the French language, and yet she's charging the Canadian tax dollars for her French lessons. So if she hasn't shown any form of learning French or even tried to learn French, like, first of all, you got to read French, you got to be able to write French, you got to be able to understand French, you better understand, or you better be able to speak it. If she can't show any of that stuff within the next 6 months, then she should resign as the Governor General, because this is a part of the requirements She must be able to speak English and French and understand both languages at the same time. And if she can't do that, then sorry, Carney. I'm I know she's like your buddy, but I don't care. I'm a total liberal, but what you're doing here right now, and you sit there and call out the CEO of Air Canada, well, get your facts straight. Look at to your own party. Look at your own people. Look at what's happening in your government. And to sit there and call out a private sector CEO because of his language barriers, look within your own group. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Oh, like, that's a total double standard. It's an absolute double standard. So where are we supposed to go with this, Carney? Like, it doesn't make any sense by any means. The Canadian people have a right to see some form of her, trying to learn the French language. And by what I've seen right now in the interviews I've heard her, she's like, I've been trying to learn French, but it's very difficult for me. Then resign, because this isn't the position for you. It doesn't make, like, it is a major requirement. And I don't understand. Like, it's funny, people love to sit there and chew out the CEO of Air Canada. He has to resign. He has to resign. Okay, then so should Mary Simon. Like, am I wrong? Like really think about that. Like, I'm not fully bilingual. I can understand French. I can speak un peu a little. But if I can't be a governor general because I can't speak French, and say if I could speak German, I get the position because I could speak another language. No, that's not the requirement. The requirement is French and English. Yeah, these double standards need to stop. Definitely need to stop. Any other dirt I'm sitting here missing? I know there's some more dirt I wrote down about her, but that's just the one thing that really gets me completely, is that everyone is held to this standard, and it's a double standard. Here, you're doing this wrong, but yet do as I say, not as I do situation is exactly what's happening. Do as I say, not as I do. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, might as well be Billie Eilish saying, meat is bad, even though I'm a meat eater, but I love animals too much. And so I'm going to tell you all to stop eating meat. But you just said you ate meat. You're just holding yourself to a double standard. This is pretty much what Carney did to Mary Simon and Rosno there. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Should Carney be accountable for this? Should Carney speak up? Should Carney actually step in? And because, yes, I'm a liberal 100% now, but literally, I'm going to chew out the liberals too. I don't agree with everything that they're doing. And I agree with some things that the PCs are doing. I agree with some of the things the NDP are doing, but I don't agree with everything. And that's the whole thing with politics. But really, something needs to be done with this Mary Simons. And then people say, oh, you're being a racist, blah, 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 because she's an indigenous person in a seat where she actually has power. And, it's showing like how much farther we can take this country, and show how not racist we are. No, that's not what I'm saying, is because she's an indigenous or Inuit. What I'm saying is she needs to be removed from her position because she doesn't fit the standards. She doesn't qualify. And she should never have qualified in the first place. And the only reason she got that seat is because just a dildo. Just a dildo there. That little one that's going around. Katy Perry's putting between her legs. That just a dildo. And with Katy Perry coming up now, she's got some allegations coming up against her, and with totally fits. Perfect match for those two, Katy Perry and Just a Dildo. And with sexual allegations coming up against Katy Perry, that pair couldn't have been better together. Oh, goodness gracious. That's totally right, Greg. Oh, deadly. So yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, I know I ran, wow, like almost 10 minutes over. I should have just left out the things that happened today in history. But if everything goes good, this might start turning into an hour-long show. This might. I know I want to do 30 minutes or less, but I don't know, with the things that are happening in this country and around the world right now, there's a lot of things to be read between the lines. And there's a lot of people you're like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't watch the news. You know, you're just being a part of the problem. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You should be paying attention to what's happening in the world because one of these days you'd be like, how did that happen? How did that? It's been happening for the last freaking 12, 13 years, you know, and you're just watching it collapse. And you're like, oh, well, oh, well. And that's exactly what the government wants us to do. They want us to just be like, oh, well, and fear mongering us. You got the, you got the Andes virus, the Andes hantavirus, okay? And now they're talking about the ticks, wood ticks. So you got that, what was it? I can't remember that meat allergy virus. And then you have Lyme disease. And now they're starting to bring up HIV again. Even in the UK news today, they're bringing up HIV and how that's starting to spike. So, like, just pure fear mongering. Like, they talk about how it's becoming an epidemic. They don't talk about how we can reverse this, you know. And then when it comes to prostitution, yeah, here in Manitoba, they're blaming the HIV epidemic on the homeless and the drug users. Okay, let's just kick these people way more while they're down, you know. And then why didn't you bring up prostitution? Oh, we can't bring up prostitution. Well, they're a big contributor to the spread of HIV as well and STDs. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you throw the hookers under the bus along with the homeless and the drug addicts? No, well, we can't throw because there's escorts involved too. You know how many prominent people use escorts? Yeah. So this is why you didn't bring up escorts or prostitution when it came to this AIDS epidemic that's happening throughout Manitoba. So yeah, double standards, double standards. I don't know. This country is completely backwards, and the media is completely controlled. It's all mechanical. This is all mechanical media. It's all been made beforehand. It's been made months in advance. This is all mechanical, and that's what I'm going to coin from now is mechanical news. It's just a machine. It's just a machine. So don't feed it. Don't allow it to feed you. And then please read between the lines. Because, yeah, there's a lot of headlines that are out there and they go for that punchline. And people just read that headline and assume from that headline. And that's not what the headline is about most of the time. So you got to really read between the lines and see what they're really talking about. Because really, those headlines are just to get you to like read, but most people won't read them. Because what's most people's answers? Oh, I don't watch or read the news. But you'll read the headlines and then you'll take assumptions from that. So this is why I do what I do Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:30. Read between the lines, news stripped down, just the facts, 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than that's just BS. And some of that I just talked about today could be considered BS. But that's my opinion. That's my prerogative. You don't have to agree with me. And that's the thing. We don't have to agree with each other. We just have to live together with each other. And that's what it comes down to for the rest of this planet. Like, we can all get along. We don't have to agree with each other. But there's a time and a place where you just walk away. And that's the best thing to do. You don't need to start an argument. You know, you don't need to start a feud. Just walk away, and that's pretty much it. But I will be back tomorrow for tomorrow's show, Tuesday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time. News stripped down. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, I'm out of here. Waka 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 waka. Peace, everyone, and be nice.